What's happening, people? Dan Lawless here for West Ham Fan TV, here to record my opposition preview with Freddie from the Ugly Inside. How's it going, Freddie?
Good, mate. Now that we're safe, it's such a
Yeah.
relief, such a feeling of euphoria. So much pressure now gone.
Well, we're going to dive into that and talk a lot about your season. Before we get into that, this video is sponsored by OneFootball, the app that lets you keep up to date with all the stats, news, and scores. Do check it out in the link in the description down below. So yeah, Freddie, it gets. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. You've got your safety now. It's I didn't want to see Southampton go down. It's a good away day. I think you've got good ground, and it's not too difficult to get to, so it's quite convenient. Being Southerners, keep all the Southerners in the league, get rid of the Northern teams, I say.
Talking selfishly here, Dan, right?
Of course, that's it. Selfish reasons completely. But yeah, I mean, it's been a really tumultuous season for you guys, and it seems to sort of picked up a bit under the new manager. I mean, what's your thoughts on Ralph?
Well, I suppose the job that he's done has been nothing short of sensational. It's been incredible. It's been almost sort of a revolution, and it's such a contrast of how we started the season. It's the old football cliche. It's the game of two halves. The start of the season up until December when Ralph took over was pathetic. It was terrible. Mark Hughes, his ancient kind of philosophies and tactics. But Ralph has come in, set a new standard, had the boys in double training sessions in the early stages of his sort of management whilst he's been here. And really it's been quite progressive on the pitch. And he's also been not afraid to change tactics, change formations, change shapes. And he's been working on various different outlets over the last few months. In fact, he's also got the best out of perhaps what were mediocre players, or perhaps players that we bound around a lot, the word potential. I think it seems like Ralph has actually unlocked that potential, particularly in Nathan Redmond, James Ward-Prowse, and another player really stepping up this season, holding the captaincy, is Pierre-Emile Højbjerg.
Yeah, I mean, Redmond, when you first signed him, he looked brilliant, like early on, and then just went missing for quite a while. But I mean, looking back at Mark Hughes, I mean, we probably discussed this around the time that you signed him, just not long after, about obviously your feelings. I think he's a former player and something like that. But I mean, it seems, and at the time, it just seemed like a baffling decision because he got sacked from Stoke. He had a disastrous season with Stoke, and then you guys, signing Granting, you did just stay up under him that season. But then, the form went really downhill with this season. I mean, looking back on it, do you think it made sense for the time? Or do you think it was just a disastrous appointment altogether and you could have done better?
It made sense for the short-term success. I think we only had, 7-8 games to save our Premier League status. And we did it just about. We eventually picked up, was it 2 draws, 2 wins in the final 5 games that really kind of brought us out of the relegation zone. But in fact, last season we were really relying on there to be 3 worse teams, and they were eventually. And when we beat Swansea, that was it. Sensational euphoria to stay up in the manner that we did, and Swansea didn't win a game till for the last 10 games. But it gave us a feel-good factor at the end of the season. But I believe he shouldn't have been given the job long term. And in fact, the record speaks for itself. A terrible time at Stoke. He's never really won a trophy anywhere. I don't think it seems
QPR. Look at QPR. I don't think he barely won a game with QPR that season. So it seems like when things go wrong, he don't know how to right the ship.
When it goes wrong, he blames everyone but himself.
That's the thing. So yeah, I mean, it's an interest. Obviously, Hassan is a Hassan Hutel.
Ralph Hasenhüttl, yes.
Hasenhüttl. I think he'll probably really be judged on what he does next season. But are you optimistic, with what he can do?
I think so. You'd be mad not to think that what's going to happen next season is going to be certainly much an improvement of what we had this year. We're always going to be building for next year. See our safety out of the way, secure our status, reach the 40 points. Still to be done, actually, 2 points away from 40. But Next season, it's all about what we do next. And in fact, probably you could look at it on paper and say that even Ralph's got a worse team than what Mark Hughes had started with. We made no signings in the January window. We shipped off half a dozen rotten eggs, including Cedric, who obviously a European winner with Portugal. A couple of other players, Wesley Hoot, who is a bit like Marmite, and even we've been without a few other players that we've allowed to let go, and actually quite refreshing and to tell the players recently that who isn't wanted. So Charlie Austin and Jack Stevens have been given the go ahead to look for new clubs, as well as a few other players that we haven't seen, including the aforementioned earlier. But next season, I don't think we're going to go mad on transfers. I think we'll invest wisely. And the job that Ralph has done with the squad that he's got, like I said, it's been nothing short of incredible.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, because we've just seen your former player Virgil van Dijk win Player of the Year. You got what, 75 million for him?
75 million.
Yeah, you think there'd be an expectancy that money gets added to TV money and any other sales and stuff. I mean that you sold him what, not January last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, 18 months ago, really.
And that doesn't seem to really have been reinvested. And we spent 100 million in the summer. Fulham spent 100 million in the summer. Wolves spent, I think, close to that. So there must be a thinking of, as Southampton, why can't we? We've got this big money from the sales and all these other players that you've sold to, mainly Liverpool, for decent money. There has to be, I suppose, a bit of expectation or a bit of thought of why can't Southampton go out in the transfer window and splash close to 100 million?
Because we'll never do that. We're a club that will never break the bank for transfers. Our policy is always a shrewd appointments with, I suppose, hundreds, dozens of scouting reports to watch these games. And the players that we bought in perhaps over the summer haven't been the best of their ability. I hear that we scouted Mohamed Elianusi 30 times before we signed him, and he's played half a dozen games this season. It hasn't really kicked on. We're never going to be a team that's going to break the bank. And I think our record transfer, 19 million Guido Carrillo, came last January under Pellegrino's appointment. He's been away on loan, and we'll do well if we get some money from him. Boufal, again, another record player. He's been away at Celta Vigo this year, but I don't know. I think the best we may even see is a 20 million. We're not going to go spend 30 or 40, but if you go to the point on Virgil van Dijk's transfer, a lot of it's already been reinvested. So we're obliged to, or in fact, we will be paying 20 million for Danny Ings, or near on 20 million for him in the summer, because it's a loan to a permanent deal, and also paying off basically what is 3 managers in the last 3 years. Mark Hughes, he signed a 3-year contract. We sacked him off within 3 months. Yeah, about 3 months or so. Still paying off Pellegrino, who signed a 3-year contract, and Claude Puel degree as well.
Yeah, Puel as well. I mean, Ings is an interesting one. I mean, how have you found Ings? Because he's someone, quite a few West Ham fans have actually said he's someone we should have signed. Do you think he's been a really important player and he's done the business?
Well, you know what you're going to get with Danny Ings, a player that's always got his injury doubts, But for when he has been on the pitch, he's scored 7 goals this season. Still, I suppose, our top scorer. But I suppose it's what he does off the ball as well, and his link-up play. He hasn't been on the score sheet recently, but he's really been that sort of figure. He's been playing a sort of a false 9, if you like, recently. Holding up the ball, releasing out for Shane Long and Nathan Redmond for either side to move the play forward. And, I suppose if we keep Danny Ings fit, then I think he can score us 10 to 15 goals, and I suppose that will be his target as well. And I think he's probably missed half the season through injury. And I suppose if you're looking at it statistically, it would be a fair share returning 7 goals.
And looking ahead to Saturday's game, who do you think are the players that West Ham should be worried about, and who's really sort of stepped up for Southampton and been important for you guys?
Yeah, so the 3 I said earlier, Redmond, Ward-Prowse, Højbjerg have been great this season, and I think it's going to be a 3-horse race for the Player of the Season award. Last year it was quite easy to select McCarthy. Didn't have to do much, just keep the goals out really. But I think even Shane Long recently, who looks a man transformed now. It's 4 goals in 5 games, and we kind of poked fun at his poor record. A few months ago it was 4 goals in 4 managers, let alone 4 goals in 5 games. So Shane Long, it's never happened. He's never scored 3 in a row. He almost did it the other week. So Shane Long, the one to look out for, I suppose. He's absolutely flying right now, and I'd love to see him to finish the season with a high, and even sort of auditioning for his future. He's only got 1 year left, but Redmond with the link-up play, and Jan Valery, actually one of our right-backs at the moment, really stepping it up, he broke through this season, given his chance in the first team, and he's such an important figure on that right-hand side. But it all depends on our shape on the day.
Brilliant. And so I gave my prediction on your channel. So let's hear what you reckon is going to happen on Saturday. Or is it sort of mixed between hope and thought what you actually think is going to happen? But yeah, give us your prediction.
I think it's we're going to have the feel-good factor. Finally, a game without pressure. I think that's probably the first time in 18 months we've not had any pressure on our team, and to do it with 2 games to go, I think the boys will be buzzing with their safety, but it could go one or two ways. Ralph's given them actually a few days off this week to just relax, get the pressure off, get it all out of the system, come back. But I think this could be quite an open game. Your last home game of the season, our last away game, so I think it might be a game that both teams are up for it. Might be quite it could be end to end like it was last week. In fact, I'd go for a 2-2. Let's go for it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, a lot of our fans were just bored and burnt out and done with football, but that Spurs victory is really giving everyone the lift. So I think the atmosphere should be good on Saturday, and hopefully it'll be an entertaining game, mate. Thank you so much for coming on, Freddie. Always good to chat to you, and we'll probably see you on the Saturday. But tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, thanks, mate. And you can find us on YouTube, all the social media pages now. The Ugly Inside, Southampton reactions, build-up shows, articles and stories, forums. You can get involved in the conversation there. So it'd be good to see you.
Brilliant. Cheers, mate. Thank you so much for coming on. And don't forget to subscribe, and do check out Freddie's channel. Subscribe to him as well, and find us out on the social medias. Leave your comments below. Let us know your predictions. And one thing left to say, come on, you Irons.